In the UK and across Europe, trust in the police is plummeting. In towns like Rotherham and Telford, British police have been exposed as lying and covering up horrific crimes against children for the fear of community tensions. For the Hillsborough 96, it took 28 years to get justice after the police repeatedly lied to cover up their own crimes while slandering football fans. When there was a shop explosion recently in Leicester that killed 5 people, the police blamed it on being an alcohol factory. The public just didn't believe them, especially after a recent explosion in Catalonia, where the police come out and said it was a drug factory, but just days later they were forced to admit it was a bomb factory after the owner of that property drove a lorry through the streets, killing 14 people and injuring 67. In January 2018, a group of children were walking along this pavement when a car mounted the pavement, striking them. 5 children were hit. 3 of those children died at the scene: George, Harry and Josh. They were on their way to a 16th birthday party when a black Audi, travelling over 70 miles an hour, mounted the pavement, running into them from behind, throwing one of them over an 8-foot fence into a nearby cemetery. Just like in Hillsborough and Leicester, the media reported this as a tragic accident, and the police claim it was a drunk driver who lost control of his car. But the parents believe their boys are at the centre of a major cover-up.
The collision report which we asked for, they actually gave us an interim report, but in that interim report there are parts in there that show he had complete control of the car the whole time. They led us to believe that when he overtook so much that he came near a barrier, which made him sort of pull in like that. That's how it was described, and that his back rear wheel ran along the curb. For the first time yesterday, we saw the CCTV evidence. It was a flawless manoeuvre. It wasn't how it was described.
The crash report contradicts both the police and the judge's accounts, and it is just one of many things that don't add up about this case. And now Tracy and the other parents have been left to spread the word themselves.
Within 30 to 40 minutes, they said it wasn't a terrorist attack. I questioned the police officer on this and said, why have you done that when you haven't spoken to anyone? The driver has been put into an induced coma. So how can you put something like that out before you even speak to anyone, before you do any investigation? All I got was, sorry about that. They were seen on CCTV sitting in Asda's car park, which is literally about 5 minutes away from Shepperdston Lane. They were sitting there for 2 hours and 20 minutes. No one approached the car and no one left that car. When they come out of Asda's car park, they turn left. From that moment, apparently, until they appear where they did what they did to our sons, they cannot find them anywhere. The police said on any CCTV. They checked everywhere and cannot find them until that moment of them appearing there. I've looked at the route, we've done our own investigation, which we shouldn't have to do. In fact, I've never been in a place that is so cameraed up. We tried to count them, the amount of cameras there, and you couldn't, there's just that many. I researched the driver and I couldn't find him anywhere here before 2010. So when our family liaison officer did finally ring us, because she didn't have a phone so we could never get hold of her, I said to her, I cannot find the driver in this country before 2010, and she was very adamant. I'm telling you now, this is her exact words, I am telling you now, he was born here like the passenger was, they was both born in Hillingdon. It came out that the driver was not born here, and I looked straight at the police officer and I said to her, you told me he was born here, now why did you lie? She never ever answered that question to this day. So at the CPS meeting I asked, did you search the driver's home? The sergeant to the left of us said, no, we didn't, we couldn't get a section 18. But they did go round there and people were sleeping, so they didn't go in.
They didn't want to wake them up.
Yeah, they didn't want to wake them up. I was utterly disgusted by that response. 3 children have been murdered and you're telling me you don't want to wake someone up. If I'm honest, I believe it's because of the nationalities, because The police storm your homes on the most menial of things. This is 3 murdered children. Or they're so frightened of being called a racist. How is it racist to search someone's home where 3 children have just been killed?
Police kept the parents waiting in the lobby of a nearby hotel while news of the boy's death spread on social media. It would be another 5 hours before they were told the collision was fatal, meaning they were the last to know. The contempt the police have shown these parents and the lack of even the most basic investigation has left them unable to find closure.
There was no one who didn't like them, no one. They were valued, you know, my son was someone to look up to, and he was only 16, and he was someone to look up to.
No, it's just been taken out of our hands, no choice, and just not even to hear their voices.
I feel I was very lucky to have him as a son and to be his mother.
Yeah, to be proud.
And we're just totally destroyed now. Destroyed. It's very traumatic. Every day is traumatic.
Just to face the day that, you know, you've got to face again without him. It's just...
Nick, as we said, Harry was semi-pro footballer, wasn't he? Yeah.
They all just had great futures.
You know, my son told me that he told me at the Christmas time that he wanted to be a young dad at either 24 or 26. That kills me to know that he said that to me.
And you know, there would have been such great days as well.
You know, never going to get married, never going to have children. I'm never going to get to hold his children. It's traumatic, and no one should have to go through this at all. And that's why we're speaking out and saying, in the hope that no one else does go through this.
It's no wonder the parents believe the police are covering something up, when almost everything they've been told has turned out to be untrue.
What do you fear that you're covering it up? That's what I want to know. And I don't understand how they can, and I don't understand how they sleep at night, because I couldn't do it. That's not how I am.
In April this year, the driver was convicted of death by dangerous driving and sentenced to just 13 years in prison, the equivalent of a maximum sentence for only one of the 3 victims.
He is eligible for parole in 2024, so that's 6 years, and with good behaviour could get out in 4. That shows me our children mean nothing, absolutely nothing. No amount of time will ever have been enough for what they did to our children. But anything less than life is insulting, and it's not acceptable.
Despite dozens of media interviews, none of them have portrayed the family's concerns with this case. Instead, it's been falsely framed as a campaign to get tougher sentences for drink driving offences. You've told the media this time
countless times.
All the media.
Every time we come out the call, even on the telephone, even when we went on to Good Morning Britain, I had a woman call me up the day before. I was discussing it with her. She said, we cannot talk about that. None of them care. He was shown, the driver was shown a picture of our children in the state they was in, and we've ID'd our own children, so we know how they looked. My son never looked like my son at all. And I couldn't even tell you about Harry, the state Harry was in. And to think that no one in this country cared about that and treated their children like that, the lack of investigation, the lack of compassion, and the fact that these people that did that do not care one bit. I cannot put into words how that makes us feel as parents. I cannot put it into words.
No matter what you think of this case, it's clear that these families have been systematically failed and lied to by the police. I can't be 100% certain that this was a terrorist attack, but I certainly don't blame the families for coming to the conclusions they have. If this was a terrorist attack, and if this was a cover-up, we could be looking at so many more terrorist attacks than we ever could have imagined. And that is a worrying thought. I want to say a personal thank you to every single person that supported me. Without your support, I wouldn't be able to bring you the stories that the mainstream media are ignoring, like the one you just watched. We have no big financial backers. We are literally by the people, for the people. If you want to see more reports like this and you want to get behind me and support me, please go to tommyrobinson.online/support. Thank you.